Alright, pop the board out. Okay, and we're live. I was waiting on some stuff to be delivered, but okay, and we're live. Turn that down. I was waiting on some stuff to be delivered, but okay, and we're live. Infinite feedback loop. So I had some stuff on the way, but these things aren't going to fix themselves. So let's do a couple touch ICs. I got like 6 things lined up right now for repair. 3 of them are touch ICs. One's a possible touch IC, iPhone 6 Plus, but probably actually Chestnut. It's actually pretty strange. And switch to Money Shop. That ain't right. There. That's better. I already said it, but even if I didn't, I bet you could guess what we're doing today. Same thing we do every day. It's a touch IC. And this is what happens when you decide to turn the heating element on the hot air right as you start work. Trying to get that top left one. There we go. Pretty even. Why does this microscope look so green? Alright, this. That's a little better. Okay, not great. Let's see if we can. I could probably. Do that. Oh, here we go. Hue slider. Let's not mess with that. Done. Okay, that's, I'm gonna call it better. I'm not real happy with this microscope camera. I definitely have camera envy. I think the big problem with microscope cameras is there's no standardization just because you buy a, especially if you're buying an AM scope, because it's just going to be random components assembled into a microscope. If you buy 3 of these microscopes, you're going to get probably 3 different eyepieces. Same with the cameras. They usually work. This one's just not great. Objectively speaking, it may not even be good. That's a little bit of a boomerang look, but it'll be gentle. Okay. And I'll roll up the excess. Clean this off real good, nice and dry. None of that leftover flux or burnt looking material. Just deposit it all over it. More spam? Oh no. Yeah. Okay, thanks, man. Have a good one. Oh. Don't want extra trashy balls. Just say no. Trashy balls. Clean and pretty. That's our standard for balls. Okay. Hold that thought. Wow. Okay. Had a customer come in this morning. He's got an iPhone 7. It's not turning on. We plug it into the charger. It pulls 0 amps. So we open it up. We plug in a new battery and a new charging port. Still not trying to power on. Still pulling 0 amps. At this point, it's probably something board related. So we tell the customer this. He says, well, I need a phone today. This phone's less than a year old. It's the iPhone 7. I'm going to go to Apple. You know, it's not water damage or anything like that. So let me go to Apple and see what happens. He just came back in. The Apple store told him we swapped a different board into his phone. It has a logic board for a black phone, and it's a white phone. The only time it's ever been worked on is when he brought it to us to plug in a battery and a charging port. So because of that, the Apple store will look for any reason to void their warranty and tell this guy whatever he'll believe to go away and not get a free phone from him. It's an iPhone 7. Apple knows iPhone 7 are pieces of shit. It's a shit phone. It's going to fall apart. If you have an iPhone 7, I'm sorry. Somebody like me will probably be working on that phone at some point in time. And it won't be your fault. You got audio IC, you got baseband failures, you got TriStar failures. Wow. Somebody swapped a black logic board into your white phone. So it's not the board that came with this phone. So we're not going to warranty your phone. Unfucking believable. In the meantime, I have 3 iPhone 6 Pluses, which lose touch because the customer carries it in their pocket. And it's such a flexible, soft housing. It's basically made out of Play-Doh, and it bends in their pocket. Apple should have extended warranty every one of these things. But they waited about 2 years until a good portion of them were out of circulation. People were buying their upgrades to 6S's and 7s, and then they put out an extended repair option where you could pay $150 and they'll swap it out with a refurbished iPhone 6 Plus that they didn't do an M1 jumper on. So 30 days or 60 days from the time you get your refurb, you're just as likely to have a pulled or loose M1 pad and have the same Touch IC problems you had before. But hey, they got $150 out of you. Never seen a company despise their customers the way Apple does, and just systematically choose to screw them over. And the customer base is just rabid. They just eat it up. Yes, screw me more. Fun. What's up, J-Lo? How you living, bro? J-Lo, what do you think about Apple telling a customer that while we were looking at his phone for about 10 minutes, while he was standing at the counter, we tested a new battery and a new charging port to see if it was any of the basics, any components, parts could just get swapped out to turn his phone back on. Doesn't work, so he says, man, I need a phone today. I'm gonna go just get my warranty at the Apple store. And they tell him, oh, you took it somewhere else? Oh, it looks like they swapped your logic board out. Yeah, this is supposed to be a white phone. It's got a black logic board in it. What do you think about that, J-Lo? You think we traded the logic board on his phone that's not powering on for another logic board for a phone that still doesn't power on, has the exact same symptoms? You think we probably did that? Unreal. Six plus. All right, let's prompt to boot. I am incensed over Apple right now. Yeah, they swapped your logic board out. Will, why'd you swap that dude's logic board out?
I don't know, man. I'm sorry.
He doesn't even know why he did it.
You needed a broken.
Compulsive.
Yeah, the other broken.
it's not like we didn't have 3 other phones in progress that we were actually going to get paid for working on. And you just wanted to just waste a little bit of time just taking the board all the way out of that phone. We did all this for free, by the way. Maybe that's the motivation. We didn't actually do it for free. Okay, what was our passcode? Secret passcode. Okay, we got full touch action. What else can we test? I usually open voice memos, but I'm running it off the DC power supply instead of the charging port, so we don't have a microphone attached at the bottom. We could just not use a microphone and make a quick memo here and make sure the proximity sensor works. Okay, we'll do another full thorough test. Where'd you go? These things do not like running off the power supply, though. You can't just operate the phone off the power supply. It gets really confused about the battery percentage, the faked battery SWI line coming through here. Not super stable. We can check the camera once it turns back on again. Okay, front facing camera. There's no rear camera installed, so come on. There we go. And okay, that's working. And just shut off again. Okay. This power cycling is. Pay no attention to the power cycle. Everything is fine. It's just because we got it hooked up to the squid on the DC power supply right now. Put a charging port and a battery on here. It'll be fine. Okay. Next. Can you tell what song stuck on my head? How sleazy is that? How underhanded? The Apple Store is going to tell this guy who they know can't say otherwise. Some line of horse crap. So they don't have to warranty their own crappy product and say, when he took it to us, to test a new battery, we put a different logic board in it, not the logic board they sold him. This is why you need to support right to repair. So shitty, hateful companies like Apple can't keep getting away with this kind of anti-customer horseshit. Just in case you're wondering, this is not going to be a clean stream. I'm trying to watch it. Not the prettiest pads on the block. It's a no cancer fan on. Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna clean these up. Let's get this pad. Nice solder on there. Can't solder with an X-Acto knife. It's not going to work. Alright, I don't want to accidentally grab the M2 pad there, so let's trim off a little bit of extra now. Hey, UPS cane. Okay, we're gonna do one more touch IC and then take a break, and then probably be back with some upgrades, more toys, more crap. Look at all this fuzz. My touch IC has pubes. It's a gross word. Why? This is. Okay, well, add flux, and then we'll remove flux. Fine. Story of my life. I don't think I need to be able to zoom this far out. I'd like to be able to zoom further in now. I think what I may need is a different Barlow lens. That might be the solution. Got a 0.5x here with a working distance of, I don't remember, 165 millimeters. I'll try a 0.7. Maybe that'll. I really like the working distance. I hate when my hot air or my end of my tweezers or my iron or something collides with the microscope. That's useless. Didn't do myself any favors by cleaning off the stencil after I used it either. Bad. one will cling on here. A lot of this stuff won't bother you. It's mostly just flux, but if you can get it out of your way, you might as well. Wait for all the balls to cool. Gotta cool them balls off before you try and use them again. Damn balls. Well, it's still sort of warm. Peel that out of there. There we go. Both these little extras aren't gonna cause any problems. If you think this one and this one maybe look smaller, they certainly look smaller, but it's just an optical illusion. All of these have flux suspended around them, but those kind of dried out a little bit. We'll look at them from the side and see. Where'd you go? Okay, so we're looking at the second one I pointed out. It's on the right side there, and then this is the other one that really looks smaller. See, the exact same size, just doesn't have flux sitting around the base of it, magnifying it. So before you like scrap your whole ball job, you can clean it off and make sure it's actually uneven. You do have to have even balls. If they're not even, don't try and use them. Pretty balls, pretty good balls. Okay, that's good. Heat sink out the way. It's a 10-cent heat sink. It's not a 10-penny heat sink though. I usually use a nickel or a dime as a heat sink. It's just it's a nice little extra insurance. I'm not convinced either way if they truly do or don't work, but it puts my mind at ease. You don't want to rely on it though. Rely on what you know, which is don't overheat the thing. Use enough heat, not excessive heat. Okay. Yeah, let's use our power supply squid again, which is probably going to shut off randomly, just like before. But we should be able to get some sufficient testing at the very least before putting this back in a phone and finding out that it still has touch problems or proximity or front-facing camera aren't working. Okay, prompt to boot. Apple logo. Anytime you're ready. Okay, passcode. That's right. Okay. A good touch. Touch ID is working. Let's do the camera. Around to the front. There we go. It's working. And we'll do another empty voice memo just to check the proximity. We can delete voice memo. Oh, there we go. They didn't because I tested it beforehand. Check, check, check. Hey, you can't hear me. You can't hear me. Ooh, what did I do? Fat finger. Interesting. Proximity not working. Maybe it thinks it's on loudspeaker, even though it says your speaker. Loud. Here. Yep, proximity's not working. Well, let's figure out why. This one was definitely working. Let's figure out why. Stream's not over. Maybe somebody can learn something useful from this one. Generally, doing the reball method, you're not going to get a lot of proximity flex issues. Wow, that looks good, doesn't it? Somebody smeared mayonnaise on our mustard. There we go. That's better. Mayonnaise on our mustard, that's right. Alright. Let's zoom way in on the proximity flex area. So what I was saying is the reball on the chip really alleviates a lot of the issues that you can run into with secondary problems after the repair. It's because you're using such a lower heat, such a lower temperature to reinstall. So this can affect your proximity. This I don't think can. This I know can. And look, it's loose. It's moving. Okay, that's probably why our proximity flex is not working. So let's go ahead and get this out of here. You just hang out there. Let's give it a little something to hang out in. We'll spot the chip. Okay. You want to be really gentle doing this, because these things are really sensitive anyway. Looks like the component next to it is also loose. So we'll get that one out too. I hope this doesn't turn into one of those ones where we have to resolder the entire row. That really takes the wind out of your sails. Let's make sure we arrange these in a way where we're not going to get them confused. One's a filter, one's a capacitor. Don't want to put the filter where the capacitor goes, and vice versa. The filter is a fuse. Current passes through it. If too much current passes through it, just like a fuse, it will blow. It'll die, burn up, and current will no longer be able to pass through it once it's open. Just clean it off some of this stuff. And it looks like the component next to it. So these three were all loose. It's kind of surprising. This would be the first one and the last probably 50 that I had any kind of proximity issues with. Maybe I was just so preoccupied with how fucking asinine Apple is, suggesting that we swapped out somebody's logic board while we were testing a battery, just so they wouldn't have to honor their warranty. This one's also loose. Alright, I don't know if these are all loose because of me. Okay. So that one's loose, that one's loose. Looks like I'm gonna be resoldering about 5 of these tiny little things. That's fun. Let's do this. I want one that's underfill up a little bit. It gets nice and brittle. It comes off a lot easier with just a little bit of heat. I don't have this on soldering heat. I've got it on about 550 Fahrenheit compared to I normally run about 850 Fahrenheit. I'm only saying F values because that's what's on my German-made hot air station for some reason. Maybe more Americans buy this hot air station and they didn't want to sully their European line. Maybe it's only sold in America. That one's loose too. This is officially about to be a pain in the ass. I am laying these in the order they come out. We'll go to the schematic in a minute. Take a look at, well, the board view at least, and take a look at why these loose things coming loose will cause your proximity sensor to quit working. This one was not loose when I was messing with it a second ago. What is up with this? Okay. So looking at these pads, I can believe that these 6 came off. You can see they're kind of discolored underneath. This one is very possible I just knocked it loose while I was working on all this area. What fun. What fun we're gonna have. Let's look at the underflow off of this. Okay, hold that thought. Talk amongst yourselves. Okay. I'll put a little bit of flux in this connector just to protect it. We're going to be applying some heat. Let me get the rest of this underfill off. And I don't want that to happen. It might be wishful thinking. Let's do this first. Let's get these pads tinned and actually get those soldered back down. And if we end up having to replace this whole row, then at least we'll just do it in sections. I really don't want to do that though. Retinning these pads is essential. You have to do it. That cold solder joint simply won't stick. So if you get a loose one, you can't just come up next to it with your iron and try and stick it back down. If you do, you're going to have a cold joint underneath your fresh solder. So let's put some fresh solder down on the pad, take the whole piece up. to go everywhere except where we're supposed to go. This might be a joke for the tweezers. Out of state number I don't recognize. I'm getting calls several times a day from some spam outfit. And they're not even trying to sell insurance, because if you stay on the line and wait to talk to somebody and tell them to leave you alone, they eventually just hang up. Alright, these are going down a little bit better. That's no bueno. Flux is starting to get gross too. Let's try this way. Oh, good. I'm glad that happened. Love when that happens. So this is the fun part about live streaming board repairs. You're gonna see every little screw up and hiccup. I'm not gonna edit this out. For one, I don't have time to edit videos because I'm resoldering a whole row of filters and capacitors. All right, that's getting a little too dirty to see. So let's clean it out a little bit. A little too dirty. You spend enough time with the flux, it's gonna start getting discolored. So the other way to do this is also, I mean, it's kind of a danger zone thing too, is to put it all down with hot air. It goes way quicker usually, but the problem is you're going to heat up this whole area. So all this underfilled stuff, all the rest of those, if they weren't loose before, could very easily come loose while we're doing this. But at the same time, it's almost the only way to get a perfect installation of each of these. I'm doing relatively low heat. We're up to about 700. This just made a whole mess. Need to move my desk away from the door. move around with a X-Acto knife. And the last one. We're definitely gonna check these one by one with the multimeter, just because they did end up getting juggled around a little bit. If you were watching the way I was watching, hopefully you'll agree that we kept them in order, but we're gonna check them anyway. Better safe than sorry. Okay. Now we might as well. Let's wait for everything to cool. The stuff holding down the CPU heat shield is considerably lower melting temperature than the rest of the solder used on for the actual components of the phone. It's a good indicator that your board is still hot though, if your CPU it's not a heat shield, EMI shield. Sorry, we used to call it heat shield years and years ago. And it's still a vestigial misnomer, if you will. Clean this up real good. I want to inspect those joints. I want to make sure we don't have anything sloppy going on in there. See, this one's loose now. This one's loose now. Two more loose ones. I suspect before this is all over, we're going to end up having to resolder this entire line. What fun. Maybe I should label this the real Touch IC video. I already know what I'm labeling this. I'm labeling this one, fuck you, Apple Store. Lying, conniving, greedy shits. Well, let's check all the other ones. Okay, so two more new loose components. On this end, they're either filters or capacitors. There's a couple of Zener diodes on the other end. Everything does have to go in its place. Let's put these, come on. Nice thing about all this stuff is polarity doesn't matter. So Zener diode's not like a conventional diode. I don't know if it's Zener or Zener. You could probably say it either way. I'm saying Zener. It's not like a conventional diode. It doesn't matter which way it goes on. It's one side does touch ground. It's more of a signal filter. We use them on microphones. Which there is a microphone. The diode's over in a second. Anyway, let's not get off on a tangent. Let's fix what needs to get fixed. Okay. I don't want to disturb this anymore, so I'm gonna try again to put these down with just some solder on the tip of the iron. Make sure we have nice, sufficiently tinned pads. And first we'll see how the normal iron does. If not, the tip on the tweezers is slightly smaller, might give us a little better action. I'm reluctant to use the tweezers because inevitably you gotta have, you're only using one side, so the other side you're kind of hanging over the rest of the stuff, and if you're not looking, you could be digging in this connector or something, not even seeing it. So a lot of people use especially the Hacko tweezers, are a little bit different shape than my Weller tweezers. A lot of people use those for all kind of general purpose micro soldering, and they work good. I had a pair for a while, and they were good. I didn't like my base station. I didn't get the 2-port base station that has a automatic on-off switch when you pick the iron or the tweezers up out of the carriage. So I was physically turning my station on and off every time I needed to use the iron. And I was already used to my Weller, which uses a magnet in the base station to tell it to turn on or off. See, and now, see, this one's being an asshole. I figured it would want to be an asshole. Come on. Wasn't even working on those. I was working on this one. All that fatness. All right, clean it up one more time. So those two that I just did by hand are going to be maybe a little bit crooked compared to the other row. They're all a little bit crooked. What do you expect? Apparently I'm the kind of guy who, when people come in with an iPhone 7 that doesn't turn on and it's still under warranty, and I'm doing a simple check, like a battery and a charger port, I go ahead and swap their whole motherboard out while they're here, according to the Apple Store, while they're standing there at the counter, watching me test the charging port and battery. Is that slander? So it depends on how they worded it. Alright. I did put some flux in the proximity connector in order to protect it from the heat. You can see a little bit of the charring around the edges there, but generally a little bit of flux in there will help it retain its shape while it's under heat. So just touch all these, make sure we don't have anything else loose up in here. Okay. think everything is attached well. So now the next thing is, let's put the multimeter in diode mode and go to the schematic. This isn't an iPhone 7, this is an iPhone 6 Plus. Let's do that. Alright. Sometimes it helps to hold the board in the same orientation. In this case, it'll definitely help. Alright, first things first. Number one is a filter. That's the first one that we saw that was loose. PP3VO proximity connector. What do you think that does? PP3VO proximity ALS. What do you think that does? Well, if I had to guess, if you forced me to guess, I would probably say it provides 3.0 volts to the proximity flex. Alright, so I'm going to touch this side. Make sure we get, okay. I'm going to touch this side of that, and then this goes down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th pin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so we've got continuity across here to here, and we don't have continuity here. Okay, so that means that is indeed a filter. That's a capacitor. Good. Okay, I'm gonna do this kind of quick now. Third one down. Filter. Good. Fourth one, also a filter. Okay. That's the fifth one, actually. Right, next to that is a cap. Make sure we're not shorting that line to ground. Okay. Third pin, and directly across from it. Cap. Filter. Those are good. Okay, this is a filter. Okay, this should also be a filter. It is. It goes to here. And that's a cap. And that's everything we changed. Just double check this one since we're here. I think that's the FL1114. Okay. Filters are filtering where they're supposed to filter. Caps are capping where they're supposed to cap. Oh, that's interesting. That's much less useful. Let's try if we do this. Yeah, okay. And we'll just do that from now on. Okay, everybody on board? I think you get it. All right, now what do we do? I think now we test and see if the proximity is working. And since we had to do all this work on this little row here for the proximity flex, we're going to have to check every function of the proximity flex really thoroughly before this goes back. All right. Yeah, I gotta say that's the first time in quite some time that I've had to do any sort of repair work on this side of the board after doing a touch IC. I really think the Apple stuff got under my skin. I might have been fantasizing about applying excessive heat to Apple. I was applying excessive heat to the touch IC. Okay, it's powering on. That's a good sign. We didn't do something so bad that it doesn't power on anymore. Okay. Okay, and okay, still got touch. Let's start with the front-facing camera because that's part of the proximity. Front-facing camera flex. So, soldier out the front camera and wait. And wait. And wait. That's rear camera. This is front camera. Shut up. Alright, well we're not doing this. I ain't got time for finicky power squids. Let's get a battery and a dock. I get a 6+ dock one. Okay, we're powering on with a battery and a dock now. Try to avoid the crotch cam here. Clean up my desk. It goes like this. Okay. Phone will operate a lot better when it sees 54% battery than 1%. Now let's try this again. Why was our camera not there? Okay. Any doubts? Alright. Front facing camera. And we can actually do a whole Come on, a proximity check here too. Actually, let's go ahead and connect to Wi-Fi if it'll see my router with no antenna plugged in. Probably not. The router's about 30 feet that way. Oh, there it is. If you want to swing by phone dock and connect to my guest network, that's the password. Okay. Open voice memos. Well, we're getting a lot of static, and I did notice it was doing this actually before we started the repair. I had to do a phone call. Oh, voice memos. We're gonna have to test this with a phone call again. When we put it on speakerphone, we weren't getting any of that feedback that it was indicating. But Siri was still showing a whole lot of action there. Voice memos. Come on, search. Fine. Fine then. Check, check, check. Test, test, test. 1, 2, 3. I can hear sound. Still definitely not proximitying, is it? Is that a word? Proximitying. Approximating. See that our proximity sensors lined up correctly in there. Probably is. All right, let's go back to the board view here. Sweet. All right. What else goes to the proximity? Proximity connector, codec to front mic. Well, here's one of our Zener diodes. I2C2 SCL system clock to ambient light sensor connector. That's what I'm gonna guess that stands for. I2C SDA. I don't know what SDA is. ALS connector. AP bidirectional I2C to SDA. Cumulus to Prox RX enable 1V8. So there's kind of a clue on where the other side of that one probably goes, just in the name, to cumulus. Front camera, front camera, front camera. Front mic. So here's a 3VO proximity IR LED. Let's see. C. Looking for a filter. We can actually check that one for diode reading. Didn't really do anything on that side of the board, or that upper edge of the connector. Okay. So ZXW is indicating we want around 538. You can't always go by their measurements. These were done somewhere in China with some sort of multimeter, and that's all we know. Things like ambient temperature, barometric pressure, altitude, definitely the meter you're using can all affect what kind of readings you get. I'm getting 487 on this line. I would say that's reasonably close to 538. Let's check the one next to it just as a reference. 489. This one's supposed to be 537. The next one up, I'm getting 447. ZXW says 487. So I would say that, you know, our reading on that one's probably okay. Let's check this side, is where I'm probably more interested. 702, 445, 446. This one should be ground. OL should be 437. Ground. OL. All right. I think we may have found our culprit. IRLEDK. Where does that go? Aha. Q1101. Okay, well, let's resolder Q1101. It's not loose, but we're not getting a reading on the IR LED, which if you know what a proximity sensor is, it is a infrared light. If you look at it, it's got two sides. So one side emits a beam of infrared light. The other side is a sensor that picks up the same beam. Now, if it's not near anything, that beam's just going out into space and it's not coming back. But if it is close enough for that infrared beam to reflect off of another surface, the sensor side will pick it back up. So it's really just a switch. Okay. That one we're just going to resolder. Let's cool it off. All right, this is pin 5 from the left. So red probe on ground, 4 is ground, 5 has a reading. 399, that's a lot better than open line. 398, 702, 483, ground, that's good. And then the rest of this is all camera related. We already saw the camera working, so we're not gonna dwell on that too much. Now, you know what we can do is this Zener diode. So this meter shuts off if you leave it in a position for a period of time. Filter. Where do you go? Oh, I'm on the whole wrong thing. That's diode. That's filter. Filter. Diode. Okay. We're getting the correct reading on that pin as well. All right, let's try this again. Most boringest stream ever. Nobody said that. Okay, I think we're going to get proximity now? I think we are. When your infrared LED is not getting its power supply, your proximity sensor is probably going to have a hard time. Okay, where were you? Voice memos. Check, test, 1, 2, 3. Hey, look at that. Okay, using your multimeter to diagnose, along with your eyeballs to diagnose. All these things come into play. All right, this is going to go back in the phone. We'll do a nice, very thorough test. I'm not too concerned about that extra noise on the Siri microphone. We can test another proximity flex in there if the customer is concerned with that, but it was doing that when it came in. So it was giving us a nice clear microphone when we put it on speakerphone though. So that mic in the proximity flex is for Siri and also for speakerphone. So we were getting a clear signal through speakerphone. We'll test that again, make sure it's good. We'll take a little break from streaming for a while. This one went a good hour extra, longer than it needed to. Hopefully that will help someone though. That's actually a very common problem to go on when you're doing a touch IC. Don't freak out, just work the problem. Anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll be back.